Hello guys, I'm Super1, welcome back to the channel, and this week we're back here at AUTOSHACK and I'm going to try and give you a day in the life of AUTOSHACK, what I've been up to. I did promise we'd have a vast selection of cars, the variety is always massive, and today is no different. My jobs I've got on is this Mk1 Golf GTI and this McLaren 570S. So we really do go from one extreme to the other. First of all, I'm going to be going on to this Mk1 Golf. We've started a VR6 engine conversion on it, so I'm going to get on with that, start getting everything finished in the bay and see if we can start this thing up. And then we're moving on to the McLaren. This has come in, it's got a little bit of an electrical bug. His wife also drives the car and she moves the seat all the way forwards, and now he's gone to move the seat back. It won't move. It's stuck right at the front. So you've got your nose on the steering wheel and you can barely get in through the door. So we're going to have a little look at that before he goes to the main dealer and gets their massive diagnostic charge. We're going to just see if it's something simple, check the voltage, check the fuses, just to see if we can get anything to get it going before he has to go all the way to the McLaren dealer. So we'll see what we can do for that. But first of all, we're on this Mk1 Golf. It's quite an unsuspecting little sleeper and it come to us as an unfinished project. The owner got someone else to start fitting the engine conversion, but they kind of got a bit lost with what they were doing. It never got done, so it came to us to get all the right parts put on, all wired up and all finished off and running. So as you can see from the outside, it looks like a pretty smart Mk1 Golf just lowered on a set of wheels, but under the bonnet is a very different story. So as you can see, it's got a 24 valve VR6. This is the 2.8 version out of a Mark IV Golf, and they gave us the full donor. And when it came to us, the engine was just sitting in the car. It was just about on some mounts, but that was it. But we found out they were the wrong mounts. They were the 12 valve mounts. So we got a full set of Epitech mounts, got it all mounted in, had an exhaust system made. So what my job is today is to wire and plumb it all in and try and get this thing finished off. We have done lots of VR6 conversions, even in Mark 1s, and the last one we did a full smooth flushed show bay, and that was a proper R32 engine we put in that one, and that looked fantastic. And on that one I actually made the conversion loom, but on this one, to save time, we've got a loom from Vagtronics. They make a little conversion loom which really simplifies it. This is the original 2.8 VR6 loom. Then they convert it into such a simple little fuse box with an OBD plug. And then all you've got to wire up is just a power, earth, and then all your signals to the clocks and everything. Even has an OBD port and your fuel pump relay all included. So that just makes it so much quicker. So on the last one I made it, but just to save time on this one, we had this one made up. The ECU was already going to Vagtronics to get deimmobilised and get the secondary landers removed and the secondary air injection and all the bits we didn't need, so we thought we'd let them make the loom, and we've used their looms before. Fantastic job. So that's going to be my job today, to get it wired in. So that's the engine loom all installed. This is just a standard VW end, so nothing's customised this end. It just, everything plugs into its correct places, the cam sensors, the injectors, all the coils along the top, and that feeds through into the cabin. I've also put the headlight loom, the standard Mark 1 headlight loom back in, which has the battery powers and the radiator fan wires down the bottom. So that's in its right place. So all these parts are just standard VW. They all clip into their original places. Even though that's a Mark IV engine, it's all self-contained. The loom just clips into that. And then the custom bit is inside. This is where Vagtronics customised this end of the loom. So you can see we've just got wires at the end. We've got a power, an earth, an ignition live. We've got an earth point there. And then we've got the wires for our starter, alternator, oil pressure, coolant temperature, and the other bits that are going to the dash. We've still got our original GTI engine loom here, so that will have all the powers, all the feeds, all the connections to the clocks that we need, and that just plugs into the back of the fuse box So we've got everything here that we'll need for a nice, neat install. So we've just got to join these two together. So I've spent some time filling out the engine loom, removed all this, as all for the K-Jet. So all we're left with is what we need in this loom as well is the plug for the wiper motors, the starter, and the coolant level. So we've got that. So all we've got in the back of this plug ready is what we need to connect to the Vagtronics loom. So I've got all the fuse box and everything back in. I've got the Vagtronics fuse box, relay, and OBD port. That's going to mount there nicely in the glove box, so that'll be hidden away. But I managed to find everything I needed in the back of the fuse box, so I didn't have to go in the back of the clocks or anywhere else to get all the feeds. And as all thanks, we've got to all the paperwork, because as we always say, knowledge is power. So we found everything we need, we can go back in the bay. I've spent a bit of time back in the front again doing the water lines. On some builds, we offer kind of two budgets, either everything brand new or just try and make the best of what we've got. So I've made a bit of a mixture of Mark IV Golf hoses and Mark I Golf hoses. So we've got them going around to the heater matrix, the breather up to the header tank, got the radiator pipes at the front. And so for this application, that's all going to work nicely. In other builds, sometimes we just get everything brand new silicone, so it all looks nice, like a show build or a race car. But for this one, that will suit the application nicely. It's handy that we have a lot of hoses around, so we generally tend to find what we need and get to make a good job of it. So it's going to look pretty factory in there. Another little update, I've done a drive-by-wire throttle conversion from the Mark IV to go with the engine, so we haven't got a cable throttle anymore. And with the VR6 gearbox, we've now got hydraulic clutch, and I've got the line going up and through with a grommet, of course. So I made a little reservoir for the hydraulic clutch, which we'll tuck in there. Made a little bracket for that. Got some more lines in, got the fuel lines in. They'll be tucked under the inlet when that goes on, and you can see a bit better there the heater matrix pipes, bit of a mixture of the Mark IV and the Mark I. And the return goes up to the header tank, and the feed goes down, and they'll go forward to the radiator. But we're starting to come together. So you've got the alternator on and made up a little power lead, runs over to the starter. Got a little blanking plate made up for the secondary air injection diaphragm, so that's cleared up a little bit of space there. There you can see the heater matrix pipes a bit better that we made up. So next will be cooling. We've got a Mark II Golf twin pass alley radiator, and space is a bit tight. We're definitely going to get one fan in. We're going to try and get two in if we can. So once the inlet's on, there is not a lot of room in here at all, so we might have to get a little bit choppy, but we'll see what we can fit in. And we've got some new parts. We've got a starter motor, we've got a clutch slave cylinder, we've got a shorter V-belt because we're not running power steering or aircon on this, just the water pump, so we needed a shorter belt. We've got some servicing bits, spark plugs and filters, and we need to get a new gear stick and tower for the gearbox because the Mark IV one wouldn't work and the Mark I one wouldn't work. So this is a VR6 one, and we've got the braided line for the clutch. So we've got it over on the ramp now, so we'll get it up in the air and fit those bits. Up in the air. So here's the rod shift. That's the standard Mark I shifter. So we've got to put that cable shift in. So we've got the shifter in and the slave cylinder under there. Also managed to squeeze the radiator in with the inlet manifold. As you can see, there's not a lot of space in these. It's still got to be bolted up, so it'll be a bit tighter, but it is really a wedge to get these in. So I've got the tower in. The next thing will be the shifter. So I took the carpet out to cut the hole a bit bigger in the floor, and as you can see, it's got a bit of an ecosystem growing in this. Cabriolet problems, obviously had a bit of a leak, so I'll give that a quick pressure wash off, and then we can cut out the hole. We have this handy little template. We can cut the hole in the middle. New oil filter fitted, and you can see under here the stunning exhaust system we had built by Motion Fabrication. He's local to us and has done a few exhausts for us now, and you can see everyone is absolutely perfect. All TIG welded, no gaps bridged, everyone is cut to size exactly and fits down the car. Absolutely perfect, better than factory. And they made us a nice subtle Mk1 style tailpipe for it. So the standard one wasn't up to the job of the 2.8 litre. So this will do nicely. And I've got the cable shift in and I've sealed all the bracket in so no water gets in. So we're ready to go back down on the floor. We're just about all finished under here. Everything's in, all the water lines are all plumbed in. Radiators all in, made up all the water pipes, radiator fans all in and wired up to the fan switch, heater matrix, everything's plumbed in, it's full of coolant. Just got to make some little brackets for the radiator and that'll be done. Got the auxiliary belt all on and that fitted nicely. So we are pretty much ready to start up. It's just unfortunate that that starter motor was the wrong one. So we've got to find out which one we need because this is a O2A gearbox. So we just need the right starter for that. But inside, we're all wired in, got the cable shifter all in. The mouldy carpet has come out like brand new, so we can get that back in as well. So once that starter gets here, we are ready to fire her up. So for now, on to the McLaren. So, like I said at the beginning, his wife also drives this car and she's quite a bit shorter, so she always moves the seat all the way forwards, which was fine. But when she got out, I went to move it back again. The driver's seat is stuck where it is in all the way forwards position, so your nose is up against the windscreen. So we're just gonna have a little look around. I've had to do a little Google because obviously everything in this car is in strange places and the fuse box is behind the passenger seat. So let's have a look at that. So fuses seem to be okay. We're getting no power at all to the driver's seat. The passenger one works properly, up, down, left and right. We have got voltage to the driver's seat, so when you put a meter across it, we've got power going in, but there's just nothing at all. So we're kind of suspecting that there's a problem with the seat modules. They have their own module underneath the seat. So we're just gonna have a little look at them, maybe swap them over, because if one works on the other side, we know it's a module, not a voltage problem, and go from there. we swapped the modules over left to right, and when we plugged the passenger side module into this seat, it burst back into life and we can move it forwards and backwards and up and down, and the passenger seat was doing nothing. So we know there's nothing wrong with the wiring. It does just look like it is a module that has failed. We opened it up and had a little look inside, but there was nothing obvious. You couldn't see anything burnt out or anything obvious damage to it. I think it is just an electrical failure. So unfortunately, he is going to have to go back to McLaren main dealer. It is quite far away. He's got to go to Hatfield to the nearest McLaren dealer, and no doubt it is going to be very costly. But we've done what we can, so we've just ruled out any simple problems, but it does look like an electrical failure. So that is a day in the life of AUTOSHACK. As you can see, the variety is massive. So if you tune in again, we'll be sure to have something else totally different from right one end of the spectrum to the other end, from supercars to hot hatches to absolutely anything. So make sure you subscribe because there's always something different here. I'll try and do another video just capturing bits and pieces of what we get done here. But until next time, make sure you have fun.